Welcome. Got back on a Friday. It is the 21st. First, we want to lead off and wish a very happy birthday to our main man, TA4, Ted Anthony. It is his birthday today. I believe he is 41 this fine year and this fine day. We are glad that this day occurred so that he can be our test pilot and speak knowingly and in a friendly way. Couldn't think of the appropriate for that to all of our customers when they call. He's typically the friendly voice that you hear when you call Dundon Motorsports. Got some wonderful things to go over. Happy Whiskey Friday to you, Eric, and to you, Orist, as well. We're going to go over some news articles which are of interest. A couple of them for car guys might be curious. Some a little politically charged, but we'll try and stay in the straight and narrow in that regard. I haven't had that much yet. What's in the glass tonight? We have Colonel Taylor, along with a bit of Croatian sweet wine that I'm using as vermouth, a wee bit of bitters, and some wonderful cherries that, yeah, you can see them down in there. You kind of see those two little dark spots in there? Yeah, those are cherries. So, cheers. Happy Friday. Also, a belated happy birthday to my wife. We went out to Seattle this week. I was out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday was her birthday, so we spent some time in Seattle. It was nice to get out of the house. We'll try and get someplace nice for her, maybe later this year. All right. We've got news articles. We've got our sale still going on, our February sale. And we have an update on the 992 GT3 RS Aero. We have some CFD results. We will share them. We actually recorded an entire hour yesterday with Ryan from Zebulon, discussing the nuances of the baseline Aero, the car stock, both in high downforce and low downforce. So I don't want to take too much from that, but I will share a couple tasty tidbits with you as we get there. All right, let's dive right in. So first thing up in news is the EPA. So this is interesting. So for those of you that don't know, California for a long time has been, we'll say leading, I would say tail wagging the dog, but leading and putting in regulations for California that the EPA has allowed to continue. One of them is that's under specific review here is about clean diesels. They made a rule not too long ago about diesel trucks having to have nitrous oxide emissions drastically lower than they had. A bunch of trucks ended up being, engines ended up being outlawed. A bunch of trucks ended up needing to get retrofitted, so they go through California. In general, I don't disagree with the premise, but how they enact it and how a state is able to dictate to a nation what the rules of the nation are, and thereby kind of circumventing the nation's way to create laws, or republic, what I'll just use the words as you might need to. Doesn't it? The smog in the upper left picture gives a great, it makes the sunset really pretty. So, thanks, Justin. You're always good for color. Speaking of color. So
I'm your DEI.
Yeah, exactly. We got our DEI hire. Thanks for that. Yeah, like Justin would be a DEI hire. Holy hell. We can be like a bowling ball hire. He's like, Waka Chaka. Excuse me, sir, I'm your doctor. I'm going to pull that out of whatever the hell you shoved it in. Oh, shit. Yeah. Anyway, this is interesting from a legal standpoint because the EPA granted a waiver to CARB to enact some of these rules. Now, the Biden administration on a couple of these didn't put them forth to Congress, which I believe is what is supposed to happen. He just granted them, just approved them. So what is supposed to happen, I believe, and I'm sure there's some legal scholars that'll correct me in this regard if I'm wrong, is Congress has the authority to review any rules that have come forth from executive branch departments, you know, the IRS, the EPA, Treasury, Defense Department, you know, these kinds of things. The folks that the executive branch has purview over putting people in charge of. The FDA, et cetera, et cetera. So the rule is finally being sent to Congress for review. And if Congress decides that it is a bit of an overreach, they may say this can't be and make it go away. So I would expect, since this waiver has already been quote approved, and this is a bit of a loophole thing going on, that it will be challenged in court regardless of if it's approved or if it's not. Now, what's curious about this is there is an obvious shift. The winds are blowing slightly differently as a car guy. So if the EPA is trying to reduce regulation and pull things back to being federal law is the law of the land and the states will not enact anything stronger than the federal law of the land, then maybe there's some hope for eventually moving to California. Maybe. You won't have to license your car in South Dakota or Wyoming or Idaho or wherever it might need to be. So anyway, so there's that. Take that as it may. It's interesting. I'm sure the lawyers who are listening to this will correct in the comments. And if you have a comment, please leave it in the comments section. If you're not watching this live, we actually do look at them and try and address them and answer them on the next Whiskey Friday live. A couple other interesting articles coming out of Porsche land. Things are not very rosy at Porsche currently. There are job cuts. Things in Germany are tough. Things in China for Porsche are exceedingly tough. They had a 30% decline in sales in Asia because nobody wanted to buy an EV from Porsche when they can buy one for like a tenth the price from a Chinese manufacturer. So they're planning to cut 1,900 more jobs over the next 4 years on top of the existing reductions. In total, trying to reduce their workforce by 15% by 2029. So all of you trying to get those GT3 RS allocations, it's going to get 15% harder because they're not going to be able to make as many. I'm kidding. They're probably going to make as many GT3 RSs as they possibly can because you know that's a high margin part for them versus a base Macan or a base Cayenne. So RSR, on the other hand, is hiring. Who's RSR? Larry will tell us in a second. Porsche built at the same time, seems Porsche Korea built a Taj Mahal, the second largest Porsche service center in the world in Seongsu, South Korea. I said that wrong, but that's all right. 16,000 square meters, 11-story facility with a golf simulator. You know, go get your car serviced and go hit some golf balls. Seems to work out. A lot of this is EV dominated. So we will see how it does over time, but it is certainly pretty, and I'm sure it was not cheap. Looks like they donated some money to some folks as well, which is always nice. Oh yeah, RSR, okay. Yeah, just context on that one. Yes. RSR, on the other hand, is hiring. Nice. Porsche's laying off and RSR is hiring. Well, it's a good thing that RSR doesn't do motorcycles, because I just read an article that motorcycles are being banned from the Nürburgring on tourist days. So 911's got hit with 2 recalls, one because they're flashlights. Their headlights are too bright, and the seat belts don't work when you wear a belt buckle. So, no, I'm kidding. The first recall involves rear seat belt buckle and bolt connection. So it's the bolts that hold the rear seat belts in, and who the hell puts anybody in the back seat in a 911 anyway? So, just saying. But if you're going to buy one, if you're going to buy a 992.2 Touring explicitly to have back seats, then the seat belt should probably work, because that would be kind of shitty if they didn't. Was that all the news?
That was all the further news.
That was all the news. All right, so let's jump into, let's talk about our sale. We are working, still have our sale, $1,500 off any power package. So be that 992 exhaust and a muffler, 991 with an intake and an exhaust, GT4 street header and a muffler. We also have $200 off all suspension packages, and free shipping for any order over $5,000. And that's free shipping up to $500. So those of you in Singapore that want next day air, just chill out. We can help you, but you know, if you want it to be free, just don't take advantage, because damn, you know, just saying. The rest of you though, let's get going. Get your orders in. Let's get things moving. February traditionally is a pretty slow month for us for a number of reasons. There's a lot of vacations. Everybody in North America is traveling somewhere tropical. If you're on the West Coast, you're going to Hawaii. If you're on the East Coast, you're going to the Caribbean or to Europe, or you know, these kinds of things. There's spring break coming up in April. We have midwinter break, which was this week here in a lot of North America. Why the kids get so many breaks, I'm not sure, but it is what it is. That's right, it was President's Day and Washington's birthday and Lincoln's birthday. And I do remember when I was a kid, there were 2 holidays this week, but we didn't get the whole week. So, no, free $500 worth, Justin. Yes, if you buy a power package, you can get $500 off shipping your car to us. We'll reimburse you for $500. Sure. So that's a sale. Don't miss out. Don't miss out. We've got our friend Ed in his beautiful 992 GT3 RS doing enjoying some Idaho frozen donuts. In a parking lot with a large hittable light. Terrifying. He's getting closer to it. Ah, eek. Don't hit the light, Ed. Don't hit the light. Stay away from the light. Don't go towards the light. Can they hear the sound or no? So he has our exhaust on the car, and currently we can't hear the sound. So at least I can't hear the sound.
He did send another one. Second.
Yeah, there we go. Security guard in the background watching. Oh, jeez. Yeah, there's a powder that happens. Nice. You kind of hear it. Can they hear it, Justin? Yeah, okay.
I'll fix that.
There he is. All right, so while we're on the topic of the 992 GT3 RS, those of you who have been following along for a while know that we have one, and We scanned all of it. We put forth a cool. We showed and documented the scanning to the pulling primals off the scanned data to the CAD file that needs to be created, et cetera, et cetera. So this was a number of months that that process took. And once that model was finished, we used that bluff, as Ryan at Zebulon called it. So we dumb it down to the important things in CFD. It doesn't need all of the detail. It needs the important details. And so what you see here, these images, you can blow those up full screen so everybody can see them real well, and I can just talk about them. So what we can see here is we've got the car in a low downforce and a high downforce mode, and what the airstreams are doing around it. So this one's interesting because you can see the extraction behind the front tires of the fender well being cut in, and how much more we can get pulled out once the flaps in the front of the car are open. So, and for those of you who aren't familiar with this car, let me back up for a second. The car has DRS. Everybody knows that, the flap on the wing, right? What you might not know is it actually has flaps in the splitter as well. And those flaps open and block the flow or allow the flow to come up. So in the upper, you can see that they're allowing the duct to work. In the lower, they're blocking the duct. You can see that it's kind of echo. Uh-oh, do we have an echo going?
Got it.
Okay. So you can see that the duct in the front is not allowing the air to flow through that area, or it's blocking the diffuser on the front of the car. The reason that they wanted to do that is if they only controlled the wing, then the aero balance front to rear would change drastically as the DRS activated, and the front of the car still had a lot of downforce. So that was smart on Porsche's, smart of Porsche's engineers to do that. The reason, before we keep going through a couple of these pictures, we won't go through all of them because I want to save some stuff for everybody to watch the interview with Ryan that we'll post. The important reason for running the baseline, for doing the car stock, is we want to make sure that the model is sound, the CAD data is sound, the things that we are assuming are all correct and right truly is correct and right. And the beautiful thing in this, and the reason that we love working with Ryan so much, is the published data for the car is 900 pounds at 124 miles an hour. This is a whole bunch of other things that they came up with. They also claim that when the DRS is activated, it's a 30% reduction in drag versus when it is not activated. We did our study. We got 950 pounds at 125 miles per hour. And the CFD is always going to be a little bit more, it's always going to give a little bit more downforce. So that's excellent as far as corroborating the data. And when the DRS is activated, we get 30.4% reduction in drag. So we're really happy with that baseline. And that baseline for the 900 pounds at 125, it's like 680 at 100. We do all of ours at 100 miles an hour, not at 150 kilometers an hour or 200 kilometers an hour. This is where this 124 and 177 comes from. So the maybe it's 250 kilometers an hour or 300 kilometers an hour, I don't know. So we're really excited to be able to move forward with great agreement between our modeling. It says that this is certainly not garbage in, garbage out. And when we make improvements, we will be able to believe them, the same as we've done with the 992 GT3 and the GT4 RS and a couple of other cars. So we're off to the races, literally and figuratively in this regard. So can you show the one with the air coming out of the hood?
Yes.
And we'll skip all the rest for now.
Which one? The just the rat or
Just the rat, yeah, just the single picture rat with the flow field coming out of that one. Yes, that one, perfect. So this is the one picture. You can zoom that up. Yeah, perfect. That's the one that I really wanted to share with you. There's a lot of nuance in this picture. Those of you who have seen the hood, and I don't know if Justin has a picture of the hood or what's going on in there yet. We'll give him a chance to find that.
of our hood?
Yeah. There you go. Perfect. So you can see on the inside, there are louvers, air guides, and then in the front, there's kind of a gurney flap. And what you can tell from the CFD, these are the intention behind these is to create massive vortices that want to spin off at an angle and go around the edges of the car, right? So they want to split and go this way, not go over the top of the car. So, and they do that very well. Porsche's done very, very well to create these nice twisting, high energy vortices to kind of pull all that hot air out and around. Why is that important? Well, it's important because the engine intakes for this car are not on the side. They are in the deck lid. So you want to keep all of that hot air not in the deck lid. You can see those little turning vanes or air guides on the roof. Those are also helping to create some vortices off the roof to create a wall, if you will, to help keep that air that's coming out of the hood pushed away off the side of the car. So kudos to Porsche. They've done a great job. There's a lot of elegance and nuance with the aero implementation that they've done here. Anybody who's driven this car knows it. You're out there in the world, you're driving the car, it's magnificent, does a great job. Can it be improved? Absolutely. There's a lot that we can do. One of Ryan's comments was, this car is very, very draggy. The aero on it is very draggy. There is a lot that could be done to improve it, and that's what we're here for. So we're going to get started. I think Ryan's going to start plugging in some of our bits and pieces on that starting next week. Looks like a woman with green and blue hair. How much have you had to drink, Justin? Like, damn. I mean, I'm gonna have to squint a lot. Maybe if I pass out as I'm semi-conscious, I can see that as. Anyway.
It must be draggy if Porsche is plugging up a lot of holes on the .2 RS. testing.
Yeah, so there's 992. The number of openings is reducing. So we believe this is a 992.2. At least that's the speculation. Could be a GT2 RS as well. Haven't heard it, but. Oh, yeah. It's great timing. Were you a plant, CRISPR? That's crazy. Great timing there. So, yes, the .2 RS will be interesting what they bring to it. I think if I were to guess, it's going to have a hybrid NA power plant. It's not going to be 100% NA, just because they're still difficult. Oh, yeah, it's going to easily be $400,000 MSRP, which is kind of goofy, but it is what it is. Such as the world goes, and Porsche isn't making any money, so they're certainly going to charge more for their cars. So yeah. Oh, that's interesting. They got rid of the rear. We were talking about this last night. 992.2. We were talking about the rear air guide. It's doesn't do anything on the car, on the 992.1. And, you know, we were talking about it, is it there for aesthetics? And it sure looks like on the 992.2, they kind of are admitting that. There's a design element, not an aerodynamic device. So, and all of the holes in the rear are gone.
Yep.
Okay, now I know why you've had this picture up. I'm just now like letting this like dive in a bit, which means they've got a whole lot of something going on behind that rear tire to keep all the air that might parachute into the bumper and whatnot from. Oh, they've just got all the holes taped up.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And they got holes on the bottom.
Yeah. Interesting. CRISPR, I agree. And people have asked me, do I think the 992.2 GT3 is a car to buy? And my absolute resounding opinion is hell no. It's too expensive for essentially the same car as a 992.1 GT3. So.
Ooh, that's a good take. I wonder.
I don't think so. I think the wing's the same height. That's regulated. That's not something that Porsche is going to be able to play with much for TUV. Wing height, wing position, all of that is going to be about the same. That's about the same as the stock car. That doesn't look materially higher. It's about the same as the rear roof line.
It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, but CRISPR, I agree. There is a lot of competition at $400,000 for these cars. Plot twist. It's the GT3 Touring with Aero kit and back seats with functional seat belts, not shear off bolts so that your kids can take a moon ride.
Yeah, for the price point, .2 is not there.
Yeah, price point, buy a used 992.1. Don't buy a brand new 992.2, especially with ADM and everything else here in the US. Just silly. Yeah, this is what we were talking about last week, actually, with the ZR1. The ZR1 looks like a screaming bargain of the century for a performance car. If you can actually get one at MSRP or close to it, I mean, it's $70,000 less than a 992.1 RS. And about this, oh no, yeah, and 224, is that what that says for the 992.2?
Yep.
Yeah, so $50,000 less than a 992.2 GT3, and that performance, it wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't even be close.
The lineup is just ridiculous.
Yeah. You know, 4RS at 164 MSRP. Good luck finding one for under 220. 992.2 with ADM and some options, you're going to be at 350 probably. I know what I paid for mine. It was certainly not 241, and mine was a stripper. You got the Mustang GTD if you were so blessed so as to have Ford allow you to own one, and you showed up. AMG GT Black Series, that's pretty dope. Similar price point.
And then, you know, punching it at its weight.
Yeah, and then an SF90 for $1 million. So, what's going on, Max? Good to see you. Yes, CRISPR, I agree. And there's also never been a Corvette that has finished an HPDE day completely, where it didn't have to leave on a flatbed by the end of the day. So, hopefully the ZR1 is not that. But I see a lot of them at HPDEs, and not many of them leave under their own steam. So, also something that GM needs to take into consideration when courting Porsche customers, that most of us go to the track, drive around the track, drive home from the track. It's not a thing. It's very low drama. So yeah. Takeaways on the Aero, sophisticated. There is plenty on the table for us to get. What's going on, Bill? Good to see you tonight. Certainly some Aero that we can get out of it. We've already got suspension on the car. We're going to go out, I believe, March 7th, if the weather cooperates. We're going to have the 992 RS out, and we're going to have our super duper 991.1 4-liter with the 991.2 GT3 engine in it.
991.3?
Maybe 991.1.2? Not .12? It's a 991.12. They're just going to confuse everyone. The C6 Z06 was a really great car for the money. Hell yeah. Especially if you can keep it going straight. Most of them I saw like to crash after lighting them up at a stoplight. So, and a well-driven Z06 is a hell of a car on track. They're a handful and very quick. So yeah, we're very excited for getting this Aero started on the RS. If you have comments of things that you want, yes sir. You didn't tune in last week, did you, Max? You weren't here. So yes, I'll tell you a little bit about the 991.1. This goes into finger follower land. The one solution set that we have been working on for the 991.1 GT3 finger follower issues in the 3.8 is that we just go ahead and put a 991.2 GT3 engine in a 991.1. And this is something that we've been working on. We've had this car for coming up 10 months, 9 months. And we've had this idea kicking around. There's some distinct differences between the 991.1 and the 991.2. And I'm not going to go into it because, we've worked for a while on this. But for all intents and purposes, the 991.2 engine will bolt in to a 991.1 along with some hand wavy stuff that we do, tune and some other things. And now you've just given yourself 50 more horsepower. 4.5.1. Indeed. So, but a 4.5 the right way, in my opinion. So with a dry sump, engine, et cetera, not a wet sup engine, not out of a Cayman in the first place. But the car is driving great. We continue to tweak the PDK parameters in the 991.1. We're going to get it out on track. It's got MCS. It has all our suspension bits. It has the 991.2 engine in it. So we're going to get it with some tires on it because it's got the Cup 2s that I bought the car with that are probably 5 years old. Not great to go out on track with a bunch more horsepower. We don't even have our headers or intake or anything else on the car yet. So it's just really bone stock 991.2 and the thing wants to rip your face off. It feels super fast, lots of torque. And if we get both cars out, get some tires on it, start getting some miles on track, get some testing going. And it's funny, Bill, we actually have an engine that we're going to build on its way to us that is that size, and it started as a DGG, so it'll be a 991.2 DGG build. And there she sits, the mouse. Rob S. will have to listen to the recording, but wanted to ask about the GT4 manual exhaust and the tuning issues. Any luck? So the
I'm assuming it's 718.
Yeah, 718 GT4. I assume that's what you're getting at. So there are some more maps that Cobb needs to open for the manual for us to be happy with where the tune's at. The car's working. The car is still intervening, as last I heard from Simon, but everything does fit. In the PDK cars, we got all that dialed in one of our customers' cars in California. The GT4 ECU is, the way they implement it is a bit of a pain. Just say it that way. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We will get there, and we will let you guys know once that has been 100% dialed. It'd be nice if we had the car here. It'd be a little easier for us to deal with, but it's remote. Luckily, Simon, he typically joins us on Friday night. He is a treat to work with and gives us great feedback and drives the hell out of his car. He said even with the new exhaust and the other things on it, he's still setting new personal bests at racetracks, even though we're still not done with the tune and the car isn't making as much power as it will make. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. There's obviously a love-hate relationship with Caymans and Dundon Motorsports, and it feels like it goes both ways. I'm trying to grab a cherry out of here. Don't mind me putting a finger in my drink. Delicious. All right, it's question and answer time. What you got for me? Ah, yes. We will be releasing an in-depth suspension video. Did we release said in-depth suspension video? No. Okay. With all the installations, and probably because I haven't done the hour of voiceover that's necessary for this very in-depth suspension video. 2 weeks in a row, I have not done it. So it's hard to give Justin a hard time for not getting the video done when you haven't done any of the voiceover work for the video. Mr. Bill Lackey, did you sell your lab rat? Saw that it was briefly for sale. I'm not sure if it stayed for sale or not. If it did, I would love to know the new owner. Love to keep tabs on that car. That is by far Ted's favorite lab rat. He cannot express how much he loved driving that car. So, Bill, for those of you who don't know, Bill Lackey is was the owner of our GT3 RS lab rat. So he had he's had that car for a year and a few months. Sounds about right. Yeah, sounds about right. I think it was January last year that he bought that car. He might be graduating back into a full race car. He came from a full race car. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in a cup car or something along those lines very soon. No questions. Y'all are quiet tonight. Ah, fantastic. Decided to keep it. Good for you. Good to hear. I have a question. Charles is colorblind, right? So what color does he see the Dundon orange? So Charles is not completely colorblind. Charles sees orange. Charles can't tell the difference between blue and gray. So shades of blues are troublesome for him.
Sometimes red and orange.
Is it?
That's how he got those red shoes that he thought were orange.
Ah, yes, red and orange. Yes, that's true. That's true. So he got red shoes that he thought were orange. So it's not that he's color blind, it's that he's color confused. I don't know. What's the appropriate DEI word for that? Color, he's trans color?
Apparently purple doesn't exist.
Well, depends on who you talk to. Bah, fair enough. Actually, Justin might know what that is. He's a doctor. Don't doctors know every medical condition at all the time? Color deficient, color omniscient. I know all the colors. Color dyslexic. I like it. We've entirely derailed this conversation at this point. So,
Yeah. The human eye can see purple, but it is a color that our brain creates. Interesting.
Well, and violet is a color. Roy G. Biv.
Mm. Oh my gosh, this is like a bigger rabbit hole.
Yeah, careful. We're going to end up having a physics. Oh, speaking of rabbit holes, for those of you who are like super nerds like me, Microsoft finished or announced the results of their 17-year quantum computing project. And they've come up with a new state of matter in order to do it. They have a topographical superconductor, which was really I was going into chemical engineering or quantum physics when I was in school, and so I picked chemical engineering because it could actually have applications for me to get a job at some point. But yeah, I'm like super nerding out on all that, which is super cool. The confluence of quantum computing and AI is going to create the Terminator.
Problems.
Just mark my words. Me and Elon Musk are going to have predicted this, even though I will have no hands in having created it, because Tesla is creating humanoid robots and AI. Then maybe they'll use Microsoft quantum chips in them. This took a horrible left turn. So, cars, fast cars, and Porsches and stuff, and whiskey.
Did you ever figure out how to buy those dang wet tires?
Oh yes, we were talking about the new Pilot Sport S5s that Porsche is selling through Manti. So we got to fly to Germany and bring them back in your luggage to get the wet tires for your cars in America. So yes, back to cars, Stop it. This is not just Jamie's channel to talk bullshit, although most of the time it is. Me and Justin, obviously, because Justin's been like the last 8 of 10 comments. So, you know, just me and Justin, occasionally Larry. So I don't have anything else. And since we typically will get throttled at about 5:20.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
In about 5 minutes. If no one else has, oh, I do want to give a shout out to my friend Antares. Antares has been racing for a minute. No. If you had an issue with the throttle body and plenum on your 4RS, then they wouldn't honor the warranty for that part. But I will tell you, Mike, if you don't have our headers, the benefit is not as great. I would tell you to save your ducats and get our headers and rear muffler first for the 4RS and add the plenum, because if you don't have the differential pressure on the exhaust side, then freeing up pressure on the intake side isn't going to help drive any more air into the cylinder. So, and few other exhausts pull as much negative pressure as ours, as you are aware. So as much as I'd love to get your money for the throttle body, I want it to work for you. Yeah, I was going somewhere with that. Tires. Yes, no place to get the tires that I am aware of. I also haven't called anybody because I don't care. I don't track my car when it's that wet. It's just asking for something bad to happen. I'll go to Dirtfish and slide around in their cars for that versus doing that in my own. Any other questions for me? Street headers and OEM muffler. Perfect. Then yes. And Justin speaking from firsthand experience, because he's done one. He did the 981 version, but yes, they are to replace the PS4S. Correct, the new S5s. So yeah, Mike, if you've got the headers, which I forgot about, then for sure, plenum will make a good difference for you. Absolutely. And yes, Mike not only passes sound at PIR, he passes sound at Laguna. He's been there a couple times. I've seen, of course, he's got our headers, and then he went and got JCR quiet tips for his stock muffler. Don't understand that, but that's okay. We have those too. But yes, quiet tips on the muffler make a huge benefit. Yes, you can do all those mods on the 4RS without tuning. Absolutely. Car adapts to it quite nicely. The R3RS has been running our plenum pretty much since we got it. It's got headers and our plenum on it. Very happy. 992 GT3 is the only bitchy one. So,
sounds about right.
Yeah, right. The low emissions vehicle of the two. The other two are RSs. So, That could be part of it. There is, back in the day, Charles has told me that the 997 GT3s were ultra low emission vehicles, and the 997 GT3 RSs were just low emission vehicles. And so the RSs were much more, they made more power. They have a different coating than the GT3s, even the 997.1, where the engines are the same. 997.2, the engines are not the same. And the RSs always made more power. And they're easier to tune, easier to futz with. They're just generally more easy to be around. Easy breezy. These are good questions. Appreciate it. Hopefully here in the next week, we should have some data to talk about on the 992 intake. Charles is working with it on the dyno now. With the current tuning suite, it is being, we'll say, somewhat cooperative, not entirely. It's still not making all the power it can, but it's not completely shutting down the party. So we're working with Cobb. They need to open up some more maps, is often the case when they start playing with us. It's funny, they'll write to us, be like, oh, you're getting that 40 pound-feet increase from fuel enrichment. We're like, no. That 40 pound-feet increase is because we changed the volumetric efficiency of the engine, and it's able to get more air into the cylinder and have a bigger bang. So anyway, we're working through it. They're going to help us out, get it all done. Tuning being available for the 4RS, not known yet, but I know that it was on Cobb's direct next to do after the 992 GT3, because the maps in the 4RS and the 992 GT3 are pretty much identical. It's the same engine. So they're working on that. It's the same ECU. Should follow. They've got some new rules that they need to follow, so they had to probably get a car. I don't know if they've got a 4RS, but they've got to get CARB approval for things and all that bit. So that one may take a minute. Tuning for the 4RS does currently exist. Others do it. We generally don't like the way others do tuning. That sounds pompous, but they don't do it the same way we do. For some reason, we're one of the few that actually plays with cam timing. Like what we saw with the 992, like Charles can move the cam timing by, enough to matter, and the tuning, the airflow maps, the way that the car calculates airflow just falls on its face. It's just like, what the hell happened? I don't like that. Shut the party down. So anyway, agree with that, Larry. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's some pics of the intake plenum in the 992 GT3. It is running. It is on the dyno. We've got a lot of data to get through. So yeah, we'll update more on that later. If it is as cooperative as it should be, then we should be able to easily get it up to 991.2 GT3 with intake and tune, or 991.2 GT3 RS with intake and tune and headers from us, which is well over 500 horsepower to the wheels. So just like for a 991.2 GT3, that's like 60 wheel horsepower gains, which, haven't driven that car, it's a hoot. Tasty. So, all right, y'all, I'm going to sign off. We are approaching 5:20, which is typically where Comcast shuts down our party anyway. You all have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully you have some great weather. You can get out and enjoy your car. I may wash my car this weekend for the first time in like a month, which is horrible to admit, but it's an unfortunate truth. So you all get out there, enjoy your cars, enjoy each other, and